If it gets BlackRock funding, it ain't getting my money, says this gentleman in the cartoon. So we have this topic today. This is our main story. I haven't looked into the articles yet, but Wes linked some stories about BlackRock's leader being upset. Now, as I understand, the structure is roughly that BlackRock is an investment bank which only invests in things that follow ESG, which is a set of rules and standards which essentially represent the social justice cancer in the West and in everything. And that is the method by which it is being artificially spread and promoted. But that, in my opinion, that kind of dishonest practice, that kind of anti-meritocratic practice, cannot stand up for long against the tides of sheer basic meritocracy. And it seems like that may be coming to fruition. Larry Fink lashes out at BlackRock political critics. They continuously lie. Good thing BlackRock never lie. Now, I will confess to never looking into the details of BlackRock very deeply, but I get the idea that BlackRock, along with some other massive investment banks, have enforced control of ideology upon the Western world through ESG, a set of standards by which they determine who to invest in, such that they only give money to those who follow ESG, which means that every corporation becomes a puppet of ESG, becomes a puppet of these ideological precepts. It's a genius way to conquer and demoralize a society, and it would explain why corporations are dancing to their tune. But I admit to not having looked into BlackRock itself specifically very much. That's what we're doing today. Do I have roughly the right picture there, Wes, of the situation?
You're not too far off. The long and short of it is they basically use the money that this is obviously a simplification, but yeah, they use the money that they invest in and the influence and the power that money brings them to push a political agenda, which of course they deny doing, even though they are blatantly proud of what they're doing.
Yeah,
they have never ever made it a point to hide what they do.
Yeah,
and now with this latest absolute knockdown of BlackRock, the CEO is just, oh, he's such a angry boy. He a spicy little apple turnover here. You know,
let me give you an analogy. You know, when like a really hot woman who can get any guy she wants, if she gets rejected, she is not happy. They can be some of the most unpleasant and unreasonable people following a rejection out of anyone in the world, and probably the class that's the most unpleasant. Women who have never been rejected before suddenly being rejected, especially by someone who they considered to be easy or like below them.
Oh my God.
They get rejected like that. Instant tantrum.
Oh, instant obsession.
That's a good point as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
Who are you? Who are you? Do you not see me? You see who I am? You not know me? Look at me compared to you. Typical femoid behavior.
We agree that can happen. And so what I'm thinking here, Wes, and stay with me here in this little analogy lit here, is perhaps Larry Fink and perhaps a lot of others in a similar position might also not be so used to being rejected or being in a position where they're at risk or where the critics are actually gaining some ground. And if he's reacting poorly to them, perhaps it's because he has never had to care before in his life.
Yeah, it's kind of that, but it's it's definitely a I don't like to lose. I'm not supposed to lose type.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
No, you don't understand the conspiracy theorists.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conspiracy theorists spreading lies. It's like, yeah, but your company is proud that you do this. It's like, no, it's a conspiracy theory. There's no proof. It's like,
well, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that when he's saying that they continuously lie, it may be that the bulk of what they say and what we say is true. But Larry Fink is concerned about the fact that a lot of what they say is a misconception, which they push, and he doesn't like that they do it. He thinks it's malicious in many cases, so he interprets it as a lie. So let's see if there's anything to that. Let's see if he clarifies, like, actually, we're not doing that, we're doing this, and then we look it up and it turns out to be true. Let's find out.
And I made sure, with this one in particular, I made sure to post 3 articles from 3 separate perspectives.
Yes.
Concerning.
We'll look through
so
those.
You don't necessarily have to read all 3, but so you could get a feel for how for where you're coming from with this, because of how volatile this situation is.
Mm-hmm. So this is from finance.yahoo.com, written by a man called Ben Vershkel. It's a funny name. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink lashed out at political critics of the world's largest money manager in combative new comments Friday, saying they continuously lie. The remarks came as his firm continues to face heat from hot-button political fights across the country. Quote, "We have done a better job now of telling our story so that people can make decisions based on facts, not on lies and not on misinformation or politicization by others." Politicization, eh? Interesting. Fink said during the first quarter earnings call. "Unfortunately," he says, "there's still others out there who continuously lie about these issues," he added. All right, let's keep reading. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, at a roundtable discussion on the global energy transition in Dubai in December. That's him there. Fink didn't name any US politicians directly, but the comments appear to be an unmistakable reference to continued attacks from politicians on the Republican side of the aisle, both in Washington and in conservative states like Texas. Probably a fair assumption. Republicans have continued to try and make Fink and his firm into the preeminent example of what they charge as woke investing in this 2024 election season continues to heat up, which the article is the wording's a little biased here, but that's mostly accurate. Fink also says the attacks aren't working, pointing to an increase in US investments in his company. He says there has been a $1.9 trillion in total net inflows from US investors into BlackRock over the last 5 years, and nearly $300 billion in new US investor money that appeared on the company's books just in the last year. Does that adjust for inflation that you helped cause? I wonder. Quote, "I do believe that with the vast majority of our clients, our long-term fiduciary approach and performance are resonating," says Fink. I think they're resonating in a way you would not necessarily expect. And I don't think that this strategy of yours has much longer left to work, the ESG thing. As more and more people reject it, they will stop buying products that support it. And this has already happened. It's already almost destroyed an entire parent company, let alone the brand. And it's only likely to happen more in the future. So I don't know. And we'll see. If he's coming out and said, "But we're doing great, actually," and gives statistics. Oh, it's so easy to lie with statistics, especially when you control the statistics. So I don't know, it sounds like maybe he's concerned. Let's continue. He says, "I do believe that with the vast majority of our clients, our long-term..." The new comments came as the world's largest asset manager reported overall results that included new record levels of assets under management, with the company now managing $10.5 trillion in investor money around the world. That's a lot of money. It's 10 years of the military budget for the US, roughly. It's a lot of money. The company's stock opened down as trading began Friday, falling more than 1%. Quite a lot. BlackRock, I mean, that is quite a lot. It's a hundredth of their total value. BlackRock stock is also down for 2024 as a whole, while the S&P 500 has risen around 8% in recent months, according to Yahoo Finance. Okay, so it's down compared to the rest of the market. So the fact that you're increasing your asset holdings, but you're down compared to the rest of the market, implies to me either the market is growing ridiculously quickly, which I doubt, doesn't seem to be, or you aren't adjusting for inflation. You've grown your assets in numbers, but not in value, and people are losing confidence in your company. Don't know. Hey, economics is not my strong suit, but chat, tell me if I got anything wrong. An array of political... go on, Wes.
Yeah, well, one of the things is it's like, if what you're doing is actually successful, why are you so mad?
Yeah, it's true.
If you supposedly have so much confidence, why are you screaming so? Why are you so vocal, and why are your quote unquote supporters being so loudly antagonistic towards people going, hey, we don't like what you're doing. We don't like what you're influencing companies, how you're influencing them, and how you're pushing them towards an ideological direction. We disagree. And your response is screaming loudly into the ether about how they're all evil conspiracy theorists and they need to be censored, and that how you're totally not the bad guy.
It does belie potentially a certain lack of confidence. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be overly optimistic that the company is on the brink of collapse or anything. And I know that Wes, you've said that the ESG money is drying up. I'm not sure I've seen enough evidence to be that confident. But I would be very likely to believe that it is on a downward trajectory overall.
The company is still there.
Yeah.
The investment money is gone. You can see it is visibly evident that the investment money, the investment in the future of these projects is gone.
Interesting.
The ability for them to invest in new things in dangerous, like, you could see that because all of these companies and all of these businesses that were fully embracing this woke shit, all of a sudden magically are cutting corners and firing tons of people, and abandoning all of these things because the money's not there anymore. The incentive to do it is gone because the banks have either been shut down, or the influx of woke capital, of money coming in via these woke these woke hedge funds and these wokest money farms are dried up because the economy is shitting the bed so much because of these bad investments.
Yeah. I very much hope you're right about that, and I think I need to look into more. But yeah, I hope you're right about that. So we'll even read now from this article a bit of the sort of backstory on what's been happening with politics versus BlackRock. The comments from Fink appeared directed at ongoing political standoffs on multiple fronts. On Capitol Hill, House Republicans led by House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, who is one of the good ones, are currently pursuing an investigation into so-called ESG investing. There's nothing so-called about it. This is the thing that runs our economy right now. Yahoo Finance. It's like pretty well publicized what it is. And if you look into the ESG goals, if you look into what those goals actually are, they are, despite the wording, they are politically biased. They are large sections of political perspectives which would not agree with them. And yet they are requirements for all investments from these colossal investment banks. So yeah, that'll have a nudging effect on the economy, methinks. So-called, no, it is a known thing by anyone who has anyone who looked into it, anyone who has even heard of it, anyone who is familiar with the shape of the economy. It should be a known thing, and it's publicly aware. The committee recently subpoenaed BlackRock and other asset managers as it seeks information on what it calls collusive agreements to promote and adopt left-wing environmental, social, and governance goals. Yeah, I think they're onto something as well. I've seen some of the ESG stuff, and yes, it is exactly what the neo-lib establishment left would want. Fink has also backed away from using the politically contentious acronym, vowing last year not to say ESG and arguing it had become weaponized. It was a weapon from its inception, Fink. Us describing it as what it is, it cannot be blamed on us. Friday's commentary also came after a recent dust-up between BlackRock and a Texas government fund that announced plans to withdraw $8.5 billion as the chairman of the Texas State Board of Education charged that BlackRock policy was to boycott energy companies. So the problem ultimately, and it's not like BlackRock, yeah, they're the problem, but they're fitting into a niche that is available regardless. Because if you're doing business and you want to make more money, I could say right now, guys, can you just focus on earning money in the market and stop with like politics and governments and ideology? But the thing is, that is a method to earn more money in the market, and someone's going to do it eventually. If you have a system where money can influence politics, which, by the way, is every system, but some more than others, then you are going to get the market buying political influence to improve their standing in the market. And we are now many decades deep into that. And almost all of the corruption in our society can be one way or the other traced back to that practice. So it's hard to imagine a way that you could completely, or not, but even like mostly eradicate this problem. What we will do, though, is notice it, delete it in place, and add some assistive methods to help inoculate us against it for a while. That's how society works. That's the best we can do, but that's good enough for now. And we may have to face the same thing many years hence, but hey, at least there will be lessons from today of exactly what happened, and it may be less effective next time, or there may be some different thing that happens next time, that we've made ourselves immune to this for a long enough time that we don't have to deal with it for a while. That's how society moves. That change came after Fink has made inroads with Texas's conservative government on infrastructure issues, even receiving praise from Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick earlier this year. Don't know about that, but I do wonder what he's up to. In his annual letter last month, Fink pushed back on the boycott charges, pointing out his firm has never supported divesting from traditional energy firms and currently has more than $300 billion invested in such companies. So despite the fact that ESG is all about green shit. Fink has also continued to urge investors to stay focused on an ongoing global transition in energy with a specific focus on infrastructure projects that will fuel new traditional and renewable energy sources in the years ahead. That's one way of saying that it's big investment in the green stuff, which is less efficient and causes more environmental hazards than you would expect, much more, and many more that are not declared, and which also require components and ingredients, which in many cases can only be found in certain, I don't know, slitty-eyed countries, rather than oil and coal, which do pollute, but are very reliable and are easy to supply from home, at least in the US, and nuclear, which is easily safe enough these days, is not actually as expensive as people think it is, or doesn't take as long to build as people think it does, and is also very environmentally friendly, and very efficient. So nuclear efficient is the obvious option. But yeah, solar and wind existing is cool, but we shouldn't be relying on them. They're a lot less efficient. Long-term nuclear is essentially free as it pays for. So yeah, indeed. It's not just free, it's net positive. But like that is another thing that, funnily enough, I watched on Sabine's channel. This, by the way, watching all this science channel. This was while I was in the hospital. It's almost all I was watching, or not almost all, but it was like that was the thing I was watching mostly while I was waiting in the hospital, before and after the operation. But she talked about the notion that nuclear power stations take 10 years to build, and it's like 10 times the expense of building a different kind of power station. It's not true. The data that she used, she used to sort of support that claim about it, the claim that she was debunking, was data from someone who was very, very clearly biased. The actual information on that is that they take between like 25 and 50% longer to build. Not that bad. Rather than 3 to 5 years, it's more like 4 to 6 years. And in terms of price, it's not that much more either. But nuclear is so much better in every other way that it's a no-brainer. The only issue is public perception. But I do wonder how much of that is artificially maintained just to sabotage our nations. If a government decided, okay, public outcry aside, we're just going to make it happen. We're going to put them in these areas, not in small villages, but in areas that are already built up. Maybe they already have a nuclear power plant, like brownfield sites, I think they're called, something like that. So you put them there, and the lobbyists be damned. Just put them there, build these nuclear power stations. If you wait 10 years, it's paying for itself to massive effect. Yeah, as Matthias says, State of Mind, the anti-nuclear movement was funded by the socialists, founded by the socialists. I've no doubt, Soviets. I've no doubt at all of that. Yeah, that makes sense. And I wouldn't doubt in the slightest that China is still doing it.